immigration raids are ramping up nationwide under President Trump. From rural towns to major metro areas, ICE operations are touching nearly every single corner of the country. ICE agents are fanning out into neighborhoods from Los Angeles to Sioux Falls and Omaha, making arrests, detaining undocumented individuals, and in some cases sparking backlash from locals. NewsNation has confirmed that in just the last 30 days, more than 50 cities have seen major enforcement activity, and some state leaders are now deploying their own resources to help ICE carry out those missions. Joining me now is Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, former acting director of immigration and customs enforcement under President Trump. Tom, thank you so much for being here this morning. Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks for having me.
For starters, we know the White House stated that your initial intention was to go after the worst of the worst, but we've heard of many cases in which ICE has rounded up immigrants at work and court hearings whose only offense is being here illegally. Could you clarify who the White House is targeting in these raids?
Well, look, there's a big false narrative out there about what ICE is doing. I read it in the paper every day, and it's a false story. Because I look at the numbers every day. So looking at everybody we've arrested since January 20th, 70% of those we arrest, 70, are criminal aliens. Who are the other 30%? The other 30% are national security threats. These are like the over 300 Iranian nationals we've arrested in the last couple of weeks. These are people who our intelligence community has designated national security threats, or they're affiliated with a terrorist organization. We have to arrest them and remove them from the country. Who are the remaining 30%? Many of those are final order cases. These are illegal aliens who had due process at great taxpayer expense, and a federal judge ordered them deported. ICE has to deport them. That's what the law declares. That's what statute requires. So ICE is simply doing their job, removing those with final orders. Those are public safety threats and national security threats, and the numbers prove it. But the false narrative is we're arresting innocent people, we're disappearing people, we're kidnapping people. ICE is doing the same job they've done for decades. I started in 1984. We're doing the same thing we did back then, enforcing the law.
Do you know how many people, you bring up percentages. I'm just curious if you also have the number of people that you've rounded up or arrested whose only offense is being here in the country illegally. And what do you say to people who, are worried about these tactics from the White House?
Well, look, first of all, as I said, the majority of people arrested are national security threats and public safety threats. Anybody can look at those numbers and see that. But look, we're going to enforce immigration law. There's nothing in the immigration law that says enter the country illegally, it's a crime, you can stay. As long as you don't commit another crime, you're free to go. Because if that's the message we're going to send the entire world, you're never going to fix the border problem. That's what the last administration did. The Secretary Mayorkas and President Biden told ICE agents, you can't arrest somebody for simply being here illegally. They have to be convicted of a serious crime before you can target them for arrest. And look what happened. When you send that message to the entire world, they're going to come to the greatest nation on earth and cross the border illegally, which is a crime, get order removed by a federal judge after due process. Don't worry about it, we're not going to remove you. If that's the message we send, you're going to see thousands and thousands of more people coming to the border, which means more women and children die making that journey, which means Border Patrol gets overwhelmed, more fentanyl comes to kill Americans, more known and suspected terrorists cross the border because the Border Patrol is overwhelmed what people think is innocent illegal immigration. No, we got to secure the border, and part of the securing that border is just not what the Border Patrol has done on the border, but we send a message to the whole world. If you cross this border illegally, which is a crime, there are consequences, and because we've proven those consequences, we have the most secure border in history of this nation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.